When I opened that promotion email, my heart should have soared. But what I saw in my inbox wasn't a reward, it was a punishment. Emma Rodriguez, position reassignment notice, read the subject line. Time seemed to freeze. My hands trembled over the keyboard. I opened it, read it, read it again. The words didn't change. I'd been expecting a promotion, and this news absolutely crushed me. Effective immediately. You are being reassigned to junior coordinator role due to recent performance concerns. Performance concerns? I'd worked at TechCore Solutions for 12 years. 12 years. Perfect evaluations every single year. 2 major projects personally recognized by the CEO just last month. I'd been named this quarter's MVP at our Austin office team meeting. And now, junior coordinator. My coffee mug fell from the desk. Coffee spread across the carpet, but I didn't move. I just stared at that screen. The signature, Brad Whitman, Regional Director.eh. Brad, he'd joined the company 6 weeks ago. Was he handsome? Yes. Charismatic? Absolutely. He was the CEO's old buddy from Georgetown University. When we first met and shook hands, I noticed his eyes lingering a bit too long. But I thought maybe I was being paranoid the first week. He was professional. The second week, too. But the third week, ... double quotes, Emma, after work drinks. We should boost team morale. I politely declined. That's very kind of you, Brad. But I generally keep my work and personal life separate. He smiled, but his eyes didn't. Apparently, he'd made up his mind about pursuing something with me. Then the next day, he came to my office. Didn't close the door, just left it half open. You know, Emma, he said, leaning against the doorframe. Being a team player is important in this company. Social connections are critical for career advancement. He was choosing his words carefully. Not a threat, but it smelled like a warning. I understand, I said. But I'm swamped right now. Maybe another time. That other time never came. Because with every rejection, things started to change. He was slowly trying to destroy my credibility at the company. First, it was little things. Cutting me off in meetings. Questioning my projects. Emma, are you sure this is how you wanted to do this? Are you certain? That sweet but venomous tone. In front of my team. Trying to belittle me every single time. Just because I wouldn't accept his special offers. Then the messages started. Outside work hours. Hey Emma, can you review this report at home too? 10:47 p.m. Emma, can we talk during coffee break tomorrow? 11:15 p.m. on a Saturday. His messages were always after hours and late at night. I didn't respond. Or I kept it very professional. Let's discuss during business hours, please, because this kind of behavior made me deeply uncomfortable. And I never, ever encouraged him. But he didn't get it. He thought he could have me. A woman sometimes feels everything. She's just waiting for the right moment. And I was waiting, but he wasn't. 4 weeks ago. We ran into each other in the Silver Lake District office parking lot. I was getting files from my trunk. He got out of his Porsche Cayenne and walked over. Emma, he said, standing way too close. Why are you so distant? I don't understand as a woman. The more I pushed him away, the more he insisted. I stepped back. Brad, this isn't professional. We're just colleagues. It can't go beyond that. I don't want it to. Professional. He laughed. Let's grab coffee. Just coffee. I want to get to know you better. No, thank you. His face changed. The mask dropped. That's when I saw him. The real Brad? You know, Emma, he said, his voice gone cold. Who you get along with in this company matters. And I'm quite influential. Yes, that was a clear threat. He was signaling that if I didn't become his mistress, he'd make trouble for me at the company. But I wasn't going to bow to his threats. He could do whatever he wanted. I got in my car, locked the door. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. But my face showed nothing. I didn't sleep that night. The next week, my friends urged me to go to HR. This is clear harassment. Report him. I knew better. HR protects the company, not the employee. especially when the harasser is the CEO's old roommate. Still, I tried. Maybe, just maybe, HR would support me. The HR director was Sandra Miller, in her 50s, always with a plastic smile. When I walked into her office, there was a Jell-O pudding mix box next to an employee wellness brochure on her desk. Ironic, Sandra. I said I'm uncomfortable with Brad Whitman's behavior. Constant non-work invitations, after hours messages, and threats. Sandra took notes. Threats, Emma? Explicit threats. Implied. Things like who you get along with matters. Sandra put down her pen. In her eyes, I didn't see compassion, I saw calculation. Like I was the one who'd done something wrong. Emma, Brad's new. Maybe he's just trying to bond with the team. You look a bit ... tired. Maybe take a vacation. My heart burned. But I said nothing. I'm literally telling her I'm being harassed by a man. And look at the response I get. I understand, I said. Thank you, Sandra. Walking out of her office. I looked at the plastic orchid in the lobby. Fake. Just like this company's "We value every employee" slogan after that day. Brad became even more aggressive. Because he was both above me in rank and had no one to threaten him. So he acted however he pleased toward me. In meetings, he criticized my projects. Emma's proposed strategy has gaps. Lies. My team knew it. But no one objected. They were scared. Then half my team was taken away from me. Reorganization, they said. Then my office changed. From my corner office with windows to an archive room in the basement. And then this email.junior coordinator. I stood up. From my office, my old office eye looked out at the Austin skyline. The sun was setting. Reed orange tones painted the sky. Beautiful. But I couldn't see beauty anymore. I grabbed my phone, opened the file menu, downloaded the voice memo app. That night on the way home, stopped at Target. Bought a small digital voice recorder. $40. It would be my best investment. At home. Alone, I sat with a glass of wine. Outside, Maplewood Street was quiet. Neighbors' lights were on. Normal lives. Normal evenings. But my life wasn't normal anymore. I picked up my phone, screenshot every message from Brad, 47 messages. All outside work hours. All unnecessary. All disturbing. I went into my email folders. Filtered for Brad Whitman. 89 emails. I read them, one by one. Noticed the change in tone. First week, professional. Second week, friendly. Third week, uncomfortable. Fourth week, threatening. Day by day, his messages had gotten worse. I created an Excel file. Date, time, content. Cataloged everything. Then I opened LinkedIn. Searched for employees from Brad's previous companies. Found 2 women. Sent messages. Hi, can we talk about Brad Whitman? One responded. The next day, 1 word. Yes. That night, I didn't sleep. I just planned. And the first step of that plan was simple. Record, wait. Collect ... because if a woman's going to speak up, she needs to speak with evidence. I watched the moonlight through the window. The night was silent. But inside me, a storm was brewing. Brad Whitman, you underestimated me. But you made the biggest mistake. You thought my silence was weakness. The next morning when I walked into the office, it wasn't the same Emma anymore. From the outside, everything looked normal. Same brown blazer, same laptop bag from Target. Same polite good mornings. But something inside me had broken and reshaped itself harder. Sharper, my new office, if you could call it, that was on the lowest floor of the building. No windows. The ceiling light flickered. Even the desk was secondhand. Coffee rings from the previous user still stained it. This was my punishment. Supposedly, I'd given years to this company. The position I'd fallen to really hurt. But I wasn't going to hide here. I pulled out that little voice recorder from my bag, slipped it into my pocket. Then I opened my phone, tested the voice memo app, working. Perfect. Texas was a one-party consent state. meaning I didn't need the other person's permission to record a conversation. Just my own consent was enough. Brad didn't know that, and I wasn't going to teach him. At 9:30, there was the first meeting. Brad's weekly strategy meeting. Normally, I would have led these meetings. Now I sat in the back corner. As a junior coordinator, when Brad walked in, everyone in the room straightened up. He had charisma. I'll give him that. Gray Hugo Boss suit, perfect hair, that ready-made smile. But I now knew what was behind that smile. It was all fake. "Good morning, team," he said, arms open wide. "We had a great week, but we can do better." As he spoke, his eyes found me, looked me over for a second, then looked away, like I wasn't even there. I pressed record in my pocket throughout the meeting. Brad presented my old projects, as his own achievements. "Thanks to the strategy we implemented last quarter," he said. That was my strategy. My 6 months of work, nobody corrected him. Nobody said, actually, that was Emma's project. They were scared. I didn't blame them. They knew Brad's power. But fear doesn't suit anyone. What would you have done if this happened to you? Would you have spoken up to support your colleague? Or would you have stayed silent like the others? After the meeting ended, Brad came over to me. While the others left, he lingered deliberately. "Emma," he said with that fake compassionate tone, "settling into your new role." "I'm adjusting," I said, my face expressionless. "Good, because, everyone in this company needs to know their place. And you know your place now, don't you?" He smiled. But his eyes were cold. My hand was in my pocket on the recorder. It was working, recording every word. "Yes, Brad," I said. "I know my place." He turned and left. When the door closed, I exhaled. My hands were trembling, but I was satisfied. Recording number 1, that evening on the way home. I stopped at a coffee shop. One of the women I'd messaged on LinkedIn, Jennifer Cho, was meeting me there when I walked in. I recognized her immediately. In her 40s, short black hair, tired eyes. She saw me while stirring her latte and nodded. "Emma." She said, double quotes, "Yes. Thanks for coming, Jennifer." We sat down. The first 5 minutes were silent. She knew too these conversations weren't easy. "Brad Whitman," she finally said. "You too." I nodded. Jennifer looked at her cup. "I worked in the Dallas office. Brad was the department manager there. First 6 months were perfect. Then he changed. The invitations started. The messages. Then the touching. My arm, my back. Seemed friendly, but it wasn't. What did you do?" I went to HR, filed a complaint. 2 weeks later, I was let go for downsizing. She laughed, but it was bitter. They didn't even give me a severance package. Made me sign an NDA. I stayed silent. My heart ached. "Jennifer, I'm not staying silent." What he did to these women and to me had to have consequences. Her eyes welled up. "Emma, be careful. He's very powerful." "The CEO's guy?" "I know," I said. "But being powerful doesn't mean being untouchable." Before leaving, Jennifer told me one more thing. Brad had an assistant, Melissa Tran. She went through it too. She's working in San Antonio now. Talk to her. That night at home, I updated my list of names. Jennifer Cho. Melissa Tran gives contact for the next 2 weeks. I moved systematically. Every morning when I entered the office, I turned on the recorder. Every time I encountered Brad, every meeting, every hallway. I made 11 separate recordings total. Some were outright threats. "Emma, if you want to have a career at this company, you need to get along with me." Some were sexual. "That dress looks really good on you." "Emma, maybe I'll get a better look at dinner." Some were psychological pressure. "Your performance is declining." "Emma, maybe this job is too much for you." I cataloged each one. Date, time, context, tone. My Excel file was 3 pages long. I was also collecting digital trails. I archived all the messages Brad sent me in the company email system, forwarded copies to my personal Gmail account. In case of deletion, Then I examined the company's internal Slack channels. Brad had messages to other female employees. "Hey, coffee break. You look nice today. Let's discuss this over drinks." Screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. Uploaded to OneDrive. Backed up to Google Drive. Saved to USB. If a woman's going to fight, her arsenal needs to be ready at the end of the 3rd week. I talked to Melissa Tran on the phone. "Kemma," she said, her voice shaking, "Brad destroyed my life. I lost my job, lost my reputation, fell into depression. Melissa, I need you to tell your story. Legally, can you give a statement?" She hesitated. Long silence. Then, "Yes, I'm not afraid anymore." When we hung up, I had 3 witness statements. Jennifer Chomelissa, Tranan Nebut, the real bombshell, came in the 4th week while reviewing the company's financial reports. I still had access to some old files. I noticed something strange. Brad's expense reports. Charges made with the company credit card. Romantic restaurant. Table for 4 gives $650 luxury hotel suite. Downtown Austin gives $890. Client entertainment gives no client meeting recorded on those dates. I dug deeper. Found a hidden Dropbox link. It was in an email Brad's assistant had accidentally sent me. I opened it. Inside were more than 20 photos. Brad and various female employees. Restaurants, bars, hotel lobbies. Not professional. Not at all. My heart raced. Download. Backup. Encrypt. That evening at home, I met with a lawyer. Her name was Margaret Sullivan, employment law specialist. In her 60s, sharp-eyed, determined. "Emma," she said after reviewing all my files, "you have an excellent case. Sexual harassment, retaliation, and probably fraud. What do you recommend? First, talk to the company's legal team. Present the report to the board. If they stay silent, we go to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And then, double quotes, she smiled, we go to the media. The media. Emma, this isn't just your case. This is a pattern. Brad's been doing this for years, and the company's protecting him. This is a systemic problem, and systems only change when light is shed on them." That night, I looked out at the Austin skyline. The lights twinkled. The city was asleep, but I was wide awake. I opened my laptop, created a new folder, Case Brad Whitman Evidence Package. I put everything in it, 37 audio recordings, 140 plus, message screenshots, 3 witness statements, financial misconduct, documents company. Policy violations, timeline file size, 487 megabytes. I didn't hit send. Not yet, asterisk, but I was ready. That man was going to pay for what he did to these women. And to me, I set a reminder on my phone. Board meeting Monday, 9 a.m. It's going to walk into that meeting and lay out every truth. "Brad Whitman, you silenced me." But a woman's silence is sometimes her most powerful weapon, because silence can be the calm before the storm. And my storm was starting Monday morning. Monday morning. I woke up to rain clouds over Austin. I looked out the window. The sky was gray, heavy, like it knew something was about to break. I knew. It's 2. It was 7:15. The board meeting started at 9 o'clock. Normally, only senior executives attended these meetings. But Margaret Sullivan, my lawyer, had found a way. We'd requested a special presentation to the company's legal affairs director, Jonathan Pierce, about an urgent legal matter. And he'd accepted. Brad didn't know. I got out of the shower, put my hair in a bun, minimal makeup, just lipstick, red, like war paint. I put on my navy suit, buttoned my white shirt. My shoes were black stilettos. Not high, but determined. I looked in the mirror. Emma Rodriguez. I said to myself, today you either win or lose everything, but you'll never win by staying silent. I put my files in my laptop bag. USB backup. Second USB backup. Cloud links. Printed copies. Margaret's advice, redundancy is your friend Emma. Get backups of backups. Before leaving, I checked my phone one last time. Jennifer Cho had texted, You've got this. Speak for all of us. Melissa Tran, I'm praying for you, Emma. Be strong. I took a breath. Sun was breaking through the clouds. Maybe it wouldn't rain. Maybe today would be a sunny day. TechCore Solutions building was in downtown Austin. Its glass facade gleamed in the morning light. When I entered the lobby, the security guard, Mike, smiled like always. Morning, Ms. Rodriguez. Morning, Mike. It's a normal day for him. But for me, this was war. I got in the elevator. Hit 12 executive floor. My heart raced, but my hands were steady. The doors opened. Margaret Sullivan was waiting for me outside the conference room. Gray suit, black briefcase, iron determination in her eyes. Ready? She said, I was born ready. I said, Margaret, open the door. Inside were 8 people. CEO Richard Hammond sat at the head mid-60s, white hair, always serious. Next to him were the CFO, Legal Affairs Director Jonathan Pierce, and 4 board members. Brad wasn't there. Not yet. Everyone turned to me. It's Rodriguez, Richard said. Brows furrowed. What's this meeting about? Margaret stepped forward. Mr. Hammond, I'm Margaret Sullivan, Ms. Rodriguez's legal counsel. We're here today to report systematic sexual harassment, retaliation, and probable fraud occurring in your company. Silence filled the room. Jonathan Pierce, the legal director, leaned forward. These are serious allegations. Ms. Sullivan, can you elaborate? Margaret looked at me. My turn. I stood up. Opened my laptop. Connected it to the projector. Gentlemen, I said, my voice calm but clear. For the past 6 weeks, I've been harassed by Brad Whitman. I rejected him, and I was punished. But I didn't stay silent. I recorded it. I played the first audio recording. Brad's voice filled the room. Emma, if you want to have a career at this company, you need to get along with me. The CEO's face changed. Second recording. That dress looks really good on you. Emma, maybe I'll get a better look at dinner. The CFO shifted uncomfortably. Third recording. Your performance is declining. Emma, maybe this job is too much for you. Jonathan Pierce was taking notes rapidly. There are 37 recordings total, I said, all from the past 6 weeks. All from Brad Whitman's mouth. Now let me show you the messages. I projected screenshots on the screen. Dates, times, content. More than 140 messages. One sent at 11 p.m. Saturday mornings. Sunday afternoons. This isn't just my story, I continued. Brad Whitman has done this before. Jennifer Cho, Melissa Tran, 2 more women. Same pattern every time. Harassment, rejection, retaliation, termination. I projected the witness statements. Signed, dated. NOTARIZED. Richard Hammond's face was bright red. From anger or shame, I couldn't tell. And finally, I said, raising my voice slightly, Brad Whitman misused company funds. Here are the company credit card charges. Here are payments listed as client entertainment. But there are no client meeting records on these dates. Because these weren't client meetings. These were personal dates. With female employees, I projected the financial documents. $47,000 in fraudulent expenses. It was like a bomb had gone off in the room. Jonathan Pierce stood up. Ms. Rodriguez, how did you obtain these documents? Margaret intervened. She still had access in the company's system. Legally obtained. And currently ready to submit to the EEOC. Richard Hammond slammed his hands on the table. How is this possible, Brad? Brad was someone I trusted. Sir, I said Brad Whitman used your trust. And he put this company at legal risk. If this evidence goes to court, TechCore Solutions could pay millions in damages. And your reputation will be irreparably damaged. The Sarah Mitchell, in her 50s, a strong woman, spoke. Emma's right. This would be a PR disaster. In the #MeToo era, these kinds of cases destroy companies. Margaret added, Mr. Hammond, we're offering you 2 options. First, immediately terminate Brad Whitman. Pay Ms. Rodriguez full compensation, restore her position, and initiate an independent HR audit. Second, this file is at the EEOC tomorrow, in the Austin Chronicle the day after, and on CNN in a week. Silence. The clock ticked. Richard Hammond buried his head in his hands. Then he looked up at Jonathan Pierce. Legal team, call Brad Whitman immediately. Now. Brad arrived 15 minutes later. When the conference room door opened, he was confident. Hugo Boss suit, his usual smile. He paused for a moment when he saw me. Then he saw Richard Hammond. Richard, what's going on? Richard stood up. Brad, sit down. Brad sat, but he was uncomfortable. His eyes quickly scanned everyone in the room. Then he saw the laptop. The documents on the screen. His face went pale. Brad Whitman, Jonathan Pierce said. No warmth in his voice. Ms. Emma Rodriguez is accusing you of sexual harassment, retaliation, and misuse of company funds, and ... She has evidence. We played the first audio recording. Brad's own voice echoed in the room. Emma, if you want to have a career at this company, you need to get along with me. Brad's face turned white. This is taken out of context. I didn't mean it that way. There are 37 more recordings, Brad, I said, looking directly at him, and 140 messages, and statements from 3 women. Still going to say context. He was silent. Richard Hammond placed a folder on the table. Brad, termination papers. Effective immediately. Violation of company ethics. No severance. No references. And if you take this to court, we'll countersue for fraud. Brad's hands trembled. Richard, please. We're friends. Since Georgetown. Friendship, Richard said in a cold voice, doesn't give you a license to violate company ethics. Sign it, Brad signed. With a shaking pen in his hand, he stood up, looked at me. In his eyes were anger, shame, fear. Emma, he said, you destroyed me. No, Brad, I said, my voice like ice. You destroyed yourself. I just recorded it. He walked out the door. For the last time after the meeting ended, Richard Hammond turned to me. Ms. Rodriguez, I apologize. This should never have happened. Your position is immediately restored. Your team is restored. And Shuwen in compensation. Additionally, we'll hire an independent HR firm. We'll build a transparent culture. Margaret smiled. That's a good start, Mr. Hammond. As I left the office, my old team members were waiting in the hallway. They applauded quietly. Their eyes were wet. A young woman, Amy Chen, came up to me. Ms. Rodriguez, she said, her voice trembling. Thank you for this courage. Without you, I would have been too scared to speak up. I held her hand. Amy, a woman should never be afraid of speaking up, of standing her ground when she's right. When I stepped outside the building, the rain had stopped. Sun was breaking through the clouds. Austin streets were wet but shining. I said goodbye to Margaret. You did amazing work, Emma. Really. We did, Margaret. Thank you. I got in my car, sat behind the wheel, took a breath. I pulled out my phone, texted Jennifer and Melissa. It's done. He's gone. Seconds later, responses came. Thank you, Emma. You're a hero. A hero. No, I was just a woman who spoke up. And sometimes speaking up is the bravest act of all. I started the car. The radio came on. Fleetwood Mac's Dreams was playing. I smiled. Today, justice won. And I was free. 3 months passed. 3 months long enough to completely change a person's life. It's Friday morning now. 8:30. I'm in my corner office on the 9th floor of TechCore Solutions. My old office, looking out at the Austin skyline. The sun rises between buildings. The city wakes up. My Starbucks cup is in my hand, filled with Americano. Hot steam rising, a perfect moment to start the day. My desk is organized. On the left, a framed photo with my team. On the right, a quote. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Nelson Mandela Margaret Sullivan had given it to me as a gift. Remember, Emma? She'd said, you didn't just speak for yourself. You spoke for dozens of women. Since that day, everything has changed. Brad Whitman, gone. I heard he's working at a small consulting firm in Dallas. Hid his LinkedIn profile. Completely withdrew from social media. A friend saw him at Whole Foods. He looked like a ghost, she said. Like he'd aged 10 years. Is this revenge? No. This is justice. Real justice isn't about destroying someone. It's about making them accountable. And me. I became regional director. Yes, you heard that right. 2 weeks later, CEO Richard Hammond called me to his office. Emma, he said, his eyes sincere, you gave this company 12 years. And in the last 2 months, you taught us about ethics and courage. I want you to be the company's new regional director. I was stunned. You. Because leadership isn't just managing projects. It's doing what's right. It's standing up despite fear. In that moment, something swelled in my chest. Not pride. Peace. Today we have our weekly team meeting. Starting at 9 o'clock when I walk into the conference room. Everyone's in their seats, my team of 12. Some were on my old team, some are new. They all look at me with respect, not fear respect. Good morning, everyone, I say, setting my coffee cup on the table. Good morning, Emma. They all reply together. Amy Chun, that young, timid girl, is confident now. She's been promoted to a new project manager position. Today, she's giving her presentation. Excited. Amy, I say, the floor is yours. Amy stands up. Her hands tremble slightly, but her voice is firm. She gives her presentation. It's magnificent. When the meeting ends, she comes over. Emma, thank you. Without you, I never would have applied for this position. Because I would have been afraid. Afraid to speak up, to stand my ground. Put my hand on her shoulder. Amy, being afraid is normal. But fear shouldn't stop you. Because you're strong. Every woman is. We just sometimes need reminding. Her eyes well up. She hugs me. At lunchtime, I have a meeting with the company's new HR director, Patricia Freeman. Patricia is an independent professional brought in from outside. 58 years old, an expert with 30 years of experience. On her first day, she'd said, in this company, there are no privileges. Everyone's equal. Everyone's accountable. When I enter her office, files are on her desk. New policy drafts. Emma, she says, I want your input. When creating the new sexual harassment training program, it's important to learn from real experiences. You lived it. What do you suggest? I think, then I speak. Patricia, policy alone isn't enough. The culture needs to change. People need to know they can speak up. And that when they do, they won't be silenced, punished. They'll be protected. Patricia takes notes. What about an anonymous complaint hotline? Good, but not enough. People are afraid even anonymously. Instead, there should be a trusted person system. Trained, impartial people in the company. Employees can go to them, and those people should report directly to the board, not to HR. Patricia nods. Brilliant. We'll implement this. As I leave her office, I feel at ease. Change is happening, slowly but truly. On the way home that evening, I stop at Target. My shopping cart is ordinary. Milk, bread, coffee, and rotisserie chicken from the deli. A normal life. But this normalcy was earned. While standing in the checkout line, I hear a voice behind me. Emma. I turn around. A familiar face. Sandra Miller, the former HR director. The one who didn't listen to my initial complaint, who said, maybe take a vacation? Her face is tense, her eyes tired. Hello, Sandra, I say, cool but polite. I want to apologize. That day, I didn't listen to you. I should have, but I was scared. I knew Brad's power. He was under the CEO's protection, and I was just an HR director. Silence. Then she continues, I quit 2 weeks ago because I couldn't live with myself anymore. You were brave. I wasn't. Is there anger in me? Yes. But there's no more pain. Just ... sadness. Sandra. I say, I forgive you. because carrying anger is exhausting. But I'll tell you one thing. Next time, choose what's right over fear, because silence is complicity in wrongdoing. Her eyes fill with tears. She nods. You're right. Thank you, Emma. I learned my lesson. We part ways. Getting into my car, I feel light. Forgiving wasn't for her, it was for me. Because anger is a chain, and I wanted to live unchained now. When I get home, it's 7:30 p.m. My small house on Maplewood Street is still the same. White picket fence, small garden full of pink roses. When I turn the key in the lock, the warmth inside greets me. I close the door. Take off my shoes. Walk to the kitchen. Open a bottle of wine Chardonnay from Napa Valley. Pour myself a glass dot. I sit by the living room window. Outside, the sun is setting. The sky is orange, pink, purple, beautiful dot. I pick up my phone. Text Jennifer Cho. How are you? Haven't talked in a while. The response comes immediately. I'm good, Emma. Started a new job. HR manager. Ironic, isn't it? How are you? I'm happy, Jennifer. Truly happy. You deserve it. You showed all of us the way. A message comes from Melissa Tran to Emma. Guess what? I started therapy, and I've been applying for jobs. I'm not afraid anymore. I smile. Tears stream down, but not from sadness, from happiness, because this isn't revenge. Revenge isn't destroying someone. Revenge is standing up and helping others stand up too. A month later, I receive an invitation. A local women's leadership organization wants to give me the Courage in Action Award. The event is at the Hilton Hotel in downtown Austin. A 200-person ballroom completely full. Businesswomen, lawyers, activists, journalists. When I walk on stage, hands are clapping. Standing ovation. My eyes well up, but I'm strong. I stand at the microphone. Thank you, I say. This award isn't just mine. It's Jennifer's, Melissa's, Amy's, and the thousands of women whose names I don't know but who fight silently. Silence. Everyone's listening. A woman, at least once in her life, is told to be quiet. At work, at home, on the street. And we're expected to comply. But let me tell you this. Silence isn't weakness. Silence can be strategic. But it can't last forever. Applause. I was silent. But I pressed record. I waited, but I planned. And finally I spoke. Because justice doesn't come from shouting, it comes from evidence, from courage, from waiting for the right moment. The room stands up. Taking this award, I want to tell you something. If you've been wronged, don't be afraid. Speak up, record, collect, and wait. Because justice's time always comes. And when it does, it's quiet but powerful. The whole room is applauding. Women are crying. Some come over, hug me, thank me. That night driving home, I'm alone in my car, but not lonely. Because thousands of women in this city are just a little braver now. And that's the greatest victory today. 6 months later, I'm sitting by that window again, coffee in my hand, sun on my face. Austin is quiet, peaceful. On my phone, there's a folder. Its name, The Case. Inside are still those 37 audio recordings, 140 messages, all the evidence. I haven't deleted them, because these aren't just evidence. They're reminders I was strong. I was scared. But I spoke up, and today I'm here. Free, strong, peaceful. Brad Whitman tried to break me. But the one thing that can't be broken is a woman's spirit. I look out the window. A woman walks by, school children laugh, life goes on, and I within this life. Breathe without fear now. True justice isn't revenge. True justice is being able to walk in peace. And I'm walking. Dear viewer, if you've watched this story all the way to the end, thank you. Maybe you experienced something similar. Maybe you didn't, but you know someone who did. Maybe your daughter, your sister, your mother. This story isn't just my story. This is a story of every woman who suffers in silence. But know this, Silence doesn't have to last forever. Speaking up is power. Collecting evidence is a weapon. And justice stands with those who have courage. If this story empowered you, don't forget to subscribe so other women can hear it too. Because the more justice's voice is heard, the more powerful it becomes. And remember, a woman is never alone. Because every woman who speaks up gives courage to another. I was honored to be with you. Now go and write your own story.